Hi guys, it's Ryan from the Peppermint Apes. I'm just sitting in my lounge at the moment. It's a lovely day outside. Just thought I'd sit down for a couple of minutes and you know what, I rarely do these videos where I just get my phone out and release something on YouTube, on the band page anyway, unedited. You know, we try and keep the videos as professional as possible, but I just thought, you know what, I'll quickly just get this out and say my piece on this because I'm a huge Beatles fan. And I'm a few days late with the story now. It happened a few days ago, but basically, Paul McCartney, he went on the Howard Stern show a little while ago over the phone. And Howard Stern, he's a brilliant wind-up. He's a fan. I love his interviews. He's brilliant. He loves to dig things as well. And he said to Paul McCartney, it's a great interview, by the way. If you go on YouTube, check it out. But he said to Paul McCartney, you know, the Beatles are better than the Stones, right? And Paul McCartney, he said some great things about the Stones. Complimented them, but then he just came back and said, yeah, the Beatles were better. Said, I'm with you, Howard, the Beatles were better. That is awesome. I laughed so much when I heard that. Anyway, recently Mick Jagger, he was interviewed by Zane Lowe, and Zane actually said to Mick, have did you see the interview? Do you know what Paul McCartney said? And he actually said no. So this was even better. Zane explained, that Paul said, the Beatles were better than the Stones. And Mick Jagger smiled and responded. It's all a bit of banter, so it can't be taken seriously, guys. So I'm sure there's some Beatle fans out there that, think, oh, why did Mick Jagger say this? And there's probably some Stones fans out there that think, Paul McCartney's arrogant. But it's all a bit of banter. Take it with a pinch of salt, as we say. But regardless, this is still fantastic. And Mick Jagger, basically, he responded and he said, you know what, this isn't word for word, so check out the interview for the official quote if you like, but he said, you know what, man, the Beatles were a fantastic band. They played Shea Stadiums. I think he said he was there as well. What an iconic concert that was. He said, but then they split up, and then in the 70s, that's when the PA systems, got better, light shows advanced, etc. And the Beatles weren't going, the Stones were, and they were doing fantastic concerts. And to this day, they're still selling out arenas. Only a few years ago, let's not forget, they played Glastonbury, and they're always, releasing new material. But I believe they've got a new album coming out. It might already be out. Do forgive me if I've got that wrong, guys. But they're just a fantastic band. No one can argue that. Great live band. I'd love to go and see the Stones live. They're without a shadow of a doubt, they're a band that I want to see. But anyway, Mick Jagger said, look, we're doing all these things, stadium gigs, etc. still, and the Beatles don't exist now. Oh, he's not wrong though, is he? They are doing stadiums, they are doing this, they are still current, and the Beatles aren't, they don't exist now. And they split up years ago, 1970, well, technically 1969. However, let's be realistic, to this day, the Beatles are still probably one of the biggest bands ever, and they've not been going for years, 50 years or 51 years or whatever it is. They've not been going that long. So, and they're still pioneers of music. And let's be honest, they could have reunited in the 70s. They refused to. There's been loads of rumours that they would have done. That would have been different, a game changer back then. And let's face it, if they were all still alive now, obviously John and George, rest in peace, they're no longer with us. If they were still here and they all were fit and ready to go, and they announced that they were going to do a reunion tour, crikey, would that be the biggest tour in the world? The tickets they'd be sold before they've even been announced. You can't imagine, the scale of the Beatles if they were touring again, if they were out releasing albums again, how successful they would be. Nothing's guaranteed, but I can pretty much guarantee that nothing could compare to that. Nothing can compete with the Beatles if they were back, doing stadiums now. But they're not here, so you can't compare. So technically, Mick Jagger's not wrong, but I disagree. Sorry, Mick. But what do you guys think? Again, it's all a bit of banter, but what do you think of Paul McCartney's comments? What do you think of what Mick Jagger said? And yeah, please subscribe to this channel and check what we do out. But I love the Beatles, and we're going to try and cover some Beatles songs going forward, and the Stones as well. But no, this was a really good little topic. I had to just mention it. But yeah, leave us a comment, guys, and speak to you soon.